All right, guys, we are live once again. So by now, most of you guys know the skinny. Bellman is out of the country temporarily, and I started a job outside of the house this week. So not a lot's going to change with the 5-pack or anything like that. Just, our times might be a little bit more sporadic, and this week is a little bit weird. But post All-Star break, we'll be back to running on full throttle, running back to normal and everything like that. So what we're going to do tonight, and this will obviously work for tomorrow, is we are going to do a members-only video right now. I'm going to quickly run through the 3-game slate for the day slate tomorrow and spend a little bit more time on the night slate because it's a little bit bigger. No write-up for the day slate. It's only 3 games. And then I will once again supply a write-up for the night slate. So let's get into it. I appreciate the kind words from a bunch of you guys today. And let's get going. Obviously, when we do a video this early, we're not going to have a great gauge on ownership, but that would be applied to the write-up for the night slate. And as far as this day slate goes, I think I can say I'm pretty confident people will go hard on Arizona. And if you look at this slate, Arizona gets Chichi Gonzalez. The industry loves to pick on him in Coors, outside of Coors, and the entire Arizona team is dirt cheap. So I'm assuming that, other than Escobar, these dudes are super affordable and they're going to get a lot of love on the slate. Excuse me. So if you want to be different, just avoid them. Like, clearly Chichi Gonzalez is not a great pitcher, but the dude is stuck around. He's stuck around in baseball for a long time for a reason. He's coming off back-to-back good starts. If you want to play cash games, get a bunch of Arizona in your lineup. Makes sense. I think they'll be real popular. As far as who people will use for pitching, it won't be Chichi. He'll be virtually unknown for, I may not like Arizona, but I definitely don't like Chichi. Faria probably won't get a lot of love. He's still on a very, not a very much of a pitch count, not a big strikeout guy. And cap space really won't be an issue. I'm just going to guess early in the day it's going to be McCullers Montgomery. McCullers is just the best DFS pitcher on the slate, and Montgomery gets a good matchup with Seattle. So I think those guys will be popular. I'm a Montez fan, but I'm not a big fan of his production throughout this season, and I'm definitely not a big fan of his production or what I anticipate his production being against Houston. So he is not on the list for me. I think if you want to be a little bit different, I do think Logan Gilbert's a look. Talented young prospect. We talked about him last time out. He was all right. He's still really, really affordable. And I would say those are the 3 pitchers that are worth taking a look at. I'm going to assume that McCullers, Montgomery, Gilbert will be the order of popularity. So take that for what it's worth. If I just had to guess on raw DFS scores, I like Montgomery and Gilbert about the same. They're about the same price. So I don't really have a true favorite right here. I'm just going to assume that Montgomery, being the slightly bigger name, because he's been around for a while, against Seattle is going to get a little bit more love. Makes me a little interested in Seattle bats against Montgomery. The hard part about going after Montgomery, 1, he's not a gas can. 2, the Yankees bullpen is really, really good. So when I say I'm interested, I'm not like jump in with 2 feet interested. I am interested in the Houston Astros. They're just the best offense on the slate by a pretty nice margin. And as much as I like Montez, he just really hasn't been impressive this year, right? Above average league ERA. He's had a couple of blow-up starts. I'm sure Houston will get some love because they got the biggest names. And if I'm playing in a cash game, I'm probably just combining the Astros and the Diamondbacks. How you might want to be different? I don't know, man. Stack the Rockies. I know it doesn't feel good doing that. They're terrible outside of Coors, but they don't get a lot of love because they really don't deserve a lot of love. They're just not very good. I can see where you can get there. And I can see why you might like the Yankees against Gilbert. I prefer Gilbert, but obviously the Yankees are, they're not horrible despite a bad season. So for me, I like to go different on slates like this, but quite frankly, I kind of like the chalk on this one. So there's being different just to be different, and there's being different when you think you got an edge. And I don't really feel like I got an edge on this one. So honestly, if I played it, I might play a cash game on this one. Go with McCullers and Montgomery or Gilbert. Just pick whoever you think is best, and then just load up on bats of the Astros and the Diamondbacks. I feel like you can get Colorado at pretty low ownership, but that doesn't mean I really like Colorado. I feel like I'm just playing them to be low owned at that point. So it's a 3-game slate. If I have time to check out ownership percentages, I'll feel free to tweet some stuff out or something like that. But it ain't the sexiest slate in the world by any stretch of the imagination. Now moving over to the night slate. For me, again, without any big site ownership projections, I mean, we're talking major chalk Toronto day. I mean, major chalk Toronto day. Think about this. One, you got a very affordable young pitcher. He's talented. He's coming off back-to-back really good starts. He's got 18.5 plus in 3 straight. He's got double digits in a bunch of them. He's had some big ones. He looked good last time out. He's very cheap. He's going up against Baltimore. Also, because you're going to want Toronto bats, I'm assuming they will be monster chalk again. They're in a good spot. Everybody loves Toronto. They're going off tonight right now. Just assume their pitcher and their hitters are going to be extreme chalk. Grichuk, Springer, Hernandez, Bichette, you name it. These boys are going to be popular. Assuming the game plays. All right? You're calling for a little rain right now. We are 24 hours out or whatever it might be. So we'll take a look at that one. But I think everything about Toronto, as we have it right now, screams big time chalk. So who are you pairing with Alex Manoah? That's a good question because honestly, outside of the top 2 guys, there's nobody else I really love. We'll make cases for a couple people real quickly. But at the top, you got Max Scherzer or Yu Darvish. This one's a big-time coin flip for me because obviously San Diego's offense is significantly better than Washington. But for my money, Max Scherzer still better than Yu Darvish. I mean, the numbers bear that out, right? Like, it's just better than him. And if you like narratives, check this one out. Darvish made the All-Star team over Max Scherzer. Just saying. I don't know if that means anything to Max Scherzer. I honestly, you know how I feel about a lot of this stuff. I feel like it's the media and sports fans reaching for things that don't really exist. You know, Max Scherzer and Yu Darvish want to pitch well every time they go out there. But if you read into stuff like that, maybe, right? Like maybe there's something right there. I know a lot of you guys do. And if that's something you're going for, okay, I get that. I'm really torn on Scherzer versus Darvish because you know I'm Team Scherzer over Team Darvish almost every time. But the matchup for Scherzer is clearly better right here. So this is one. Tune in for the write-up tomorrow, and I will check out ownership and get a better idea of where people are going. This is one where I feel like you could play percentages. If it bears out that one of these dudes is big chalk and the other one gets very little love, well, then obviously we know how to pivot in GPPs and cash games, right? Unless there's a guy that you just really like. If you just think Darvish is a way better play because the Nats offense is worse, then do your thing right there. But I'll probably pick one of these guys and pair them with Alex Manoah because the other guys I'm going to make a case for, I don't really love them. Tyler Mahle, solid play. I don't think he's a bad play. Obviously, the Brewers strike out plenty. Offense got rolling again a little bit today. Just wrapped up winning the night game. He was awesome in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. I mean, that's the part that's sticking out in my mind. But really, he's more of a 15 to 20 point per game guy. However, outside of this start against San Francisco, he's always up there. So if you really want to stack Toronto and need the cap space and don't love Scherzer or Darvish, I can get on board getting down to Mahle. You could use that $1,500. I mean, it could be valuable. I do think I slightly prefer Taijuan Walker, though, right below him. Having a nice season. Pittsburgh's no good. They're not the easiest matchup in baseball because they are pesky and they don't strike out a lot, but they're also an atrocious offense. So you got to feel pretty comfortable with Walker getting you 15 to 25 in this one. And I like him just a smidge better than Mahle, better ballpark, inferior lineup, everything like that. So then you get down to the Alzolays, Eflins, Duffys, Scoobles, Hausers, blah, 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 Brubaker. Honestly, man, I'm just going to play Alek Manoah. I'm sure he'll be real popular. I just like him better than the other guys, so I'm not going to try to get cute with it. I get how you can make cases for like a Scooble. I like the guy's stuff. He's fun to watch, but I like Manoah better. So I'm not going to play him just to be different in this situation. And that's kind of how I feel about the offense or about the pitchers. As far as the offenses go, man, it is a tough day to get away from the Blue Jays. It just is. They are in such a good spot. They are so good. They got, hitting in a nice hitter-friendly ballpark. It's hard to win GPPs when you're playing a real chalk offense. We talk about that all the time, but man, are they in a good spot. So they are a fade at your own risk type of scenario right here. Now, they're probably not going to be the team that wins GPPs, But there's a real good chance there's a bunch of people placing if Toronto has a nice night. Maybe that's good enough for you for the day. So in cash games, I think you get as much Toronto as you can afford. And in GPPs, I don't know, man. No other offense. If ownership wasn't a thing, I wouldn't like any other offense compared to them. So that's a little bit tough. We'll go through these. We got Taijuan Walker versus Brubaker. This is one of those things, like, we've seen Brubaker with some bad starts this year. The problem is like, the Mets offense isn't very good. If you want to one-off a Pete Alonso or something like that, cool. But I could probably make a better case for Brubaker than I could the Mets offense. They're just not good. All right, Kansas City against Cleveland. We got Zach Plesac taking on Danny Duffy. I would like Plesac if he had pitched more recently. He's definitely in play. I kind of just skipped right over him. Kansas City's awful, but I'll probably take the wait-and-see approach on him. And then Danny Duffy having a nice season. They're not really pushing him post-IL stint. And a big part of that might be is Duffy's got to be on the trading block, right? Like, this is a guy that's got to be maybe not coveted, but desired by a couple of teams. So, again, I respect him. But if you want to one-off a J-Ram, cool. Franmil Reyes, still very, very affordable. I get that. So that's about how I feel on this one. And even though I don't love Plesac, it's more about pitch count and the potential for him to be a little bit off. I don't like the KC offense. Like, God, they're terrible. All right, Philadelphia against Chicago. We got Alzolay versus Eflin. Tough to comment on this one. We had a big shift in the weather today over here. Chicago is winning right now. They got to Wheeler a little bit. Some bad defense allowed that as well. They'd been really, really hot. I don't really want to pick on Eflin or Alzolay, though. I respect both of these guys. I could get on board with some cheap Philly pieces, like Segura is very affordable. Herrera, if he's leading off. Kutch, having a nice year. You got Marisnik possibly starting on the other side, very, very cheap. We'll see what Harper does the rest of the night. Harper's the streakiest, quote-unquote elite guy there is in there. And when he's hot, he's awesome. When he cools off, he goes on these extended streaks where I just had no interest in playing him. So maybe a couple of cheap Philly pieces. Probably not where I'm going to be where I'm end up. All right, as far as Cincy versus Milwaukee goes, Jesse Winker's a real good play. And he's been a little bit cool lately. But he is the best hitter of the sinker ball in baseball. And Adrian Hauser is a top 3 in baseball for the most sinkers thrown. Winker has gigantic numbers against Adrian Hauser. So while it's possible he doesn't hit double dongs like he seems to do off of him every single time, I mean, he's probably going to get you a couple walks or something like that then if that's were to happen. As far as guys against Mahle, there ain't really much I like here. I respect Tyler Mahle. I like lefties better against him. Urias is hot right now. A couple of home runs today, but I'm not trying to get to him at 4,900. So I'll probably just mostly ignore the Milwaukee Brewers tonight or tomorrow night or whenever you're watching this. You get the point. But Winker is definitely a guy you should be looking at. Tyler Naquin, depending on where he might be batting, is really, really cheap. He's been playing decent baseball lately. At that price, he definitely works. All right, next up, Minnesota against Detroit. J-Happ. Just not good anymore. So I am interested in Detroit. They've been pesky lately. They're very affordable. They'll get some love. Like, you're not going to get Detroit with no buyers. I think people will compliment Toronto with them a little bit. I don't know how many people are like going to sell their soul on Detroit right here. So if you want to switch it up just a little bit, maybe roll hard Detroit and switch it up with a little bit of Toronto. I think that'll be slightly contrarian. But Hap's been bad, and Detroit's very affordable. So I do expect them to get a little bit of love, but I like them. They're in a good spot. And then the last game is the pitcher's duel, Darvish versus Scherzer. Like, I like the pitchers, man. What's to like about the offenses right here? Nothing. They're cheap-ish. That's about it. No thanks. Give me the pitchers. So this is my real dilemma for this slate. I almost never play cash games in baseball anymore. But the chalk offenses are the ones I like in Baltimore and Minnesota. It's kind of a day where I don't really have anybody I'm really desiring to put into my lineups that's not going to be really popular. So I don't know. Some days it's okay to play cash games, or maybe you find one little edge. For example, we check out ownership percentages tomorrow. If we find out like Scherzer's huge chalk and Darvish is like unowned, that could be an edge. I love Max Scherzer, but he's not perfect or anything like that. But maybe go harder on the bottom of the lineup for Toronto. They're just in such a better spot. Like, they are as good of an offense on the slate, and they have the best spot in a good ballpark. So they're really tough to get away from on this one. So double check back on weather and ownership tomorrow. We'll supply a write-up for the night slate. And the day slate kind of sucks, but I gave you my opinion on that one as well. So that's what we got for tonight. Well, tomorrow, whenever you're watching this, it doesn't really matter. You get the general idea. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a wonderful Wednesday night or Thursday during the day, and I will holler at you guys soon.